no possibility of getting one photon, or is it more complicated than that?
I'll say it's more complicated than that, and leave it at that. But yeah, no, these kind of experiments are very tricky to clean out signal from noise. And there's still basic properties and measurements that aren't understood about it.
In general, in nonlinear measurements, coding, what would be some special requirements on the dynamic range, or in general on the sensing part? Obviously, in the second part, it's pretty, but in the wave propagating in optical, what will be some specific requirements on the dynamic range or the sensors?
Okay, and there's different flavors of this, right? There's the standard limits you get from any camera, right? There's a certain bit depth in your pixels, and this is what commercial cameras do for high dynamic range, right? You over and underexpose and fuse some pictures together, which is one of the simplest forms of computational imaging. And just like panoramas are, where you see this field of view and you sweep your camera across and you just stitch it together. So that's the usual way around limits to your camera. And I'm doing the same thing, actually. I have a limit from my linear configuration. So I take a second picture, which is nonlinear, right, which is outside of that range, or brings it in, and fuse the pictures together. Okay. Then there are limits on how that nonlinearity happens. Right? There's the physical crystal, which has a certain time response because I excite charges, saturation because there are only so many charges around, a frequency response because I have to match the band levels, and so forth. Okay? So I'm trying to get around that by then going electro-optic with these modulators. But I can only move the mirror so much or so far. Right? Or I can only change the phase by 4 pi rather than 8 and do it so quickly, and so forth. And again, there's only certain gradations. So some of the mirrors are binary, 0 and 1. Others are grayscale. Okay, so there will always be limits, which, if I want to put a silver lining on it, means there will always be work to do.
Okay, so let's stop there. Give our speaker a round of applause. So our speaker will be at the table as well as the pizza, so he'll be there if you want to.